VR games have come a pretty long way since the old phone-based days of the Gear VR. New ways to immerse players in often extremely violent virtual realities have come about since then. The big one everyone likes to talk about is Half-Life Alyx, but even a simpler game like Journey of the Gods, which we looked at last time, takes steps to make its world feel a little more than just images on a screen. That's kind of the entire freaking point of VR, so it makes sense. But a lot of the early games, they didn't quite manage this as well as they thought they would. Greetings, folks, and welcome to Horns in a Headset. You can call me Horns, and I'm here to show you the best and worst VR has to offer. This time around, we're looking at Rush, a game that seems to have been made with phone VR in mind. I hope you aren't afraid of heights, because this game involves jumping out of a helicopter with nothing but extra flaps of fabric to keep you from crashing to a fiery death. Why would it be fiery? I don't know. I'm talking about wingsuits, basically. By default, you control your character by moving your arms. That makes sense, since that is presumably how you would control a wingsuit. I don't know, I've never done it in real life. But those extra flaps I mentioned are attached to your arms. So, arms up to go up, arms down to go down, and one arm up and the other down to turn. It's pretty simple and intuitive, or so it would seem at first anyway. And for you, maybe it is. But for me, my body wanted things to be a bit more immersive than they really were. I found myself leaning up, down, left, and right while holding my arms out. That worked fine occasionally, but for the most part, the game really does expect you to just move with your arms only. Now, there is an option to control it with your head, and that might have worked better for me, but what can you do? The game recommends one method of control, so when I first start playing, obviously that's what I'm going to go with. It would be kind of dumb not to, right? Well, I don't know, maybe it was my fault. Still, the controls do work well when you actually use them correctly, but it never really feels like you're piloting a wingsuit. It's all a little loose, you know? There are a ton of courses to race through, each with different twists and turns, but there are only a handful of actual environments. Each of the few environments has a bunch of tracks, so to speak. Air tracks. That means visually there isn't much variety. It's not quite as bad as it sounds, though, as the time of day and weather conditions do vary among the tracks. The races are also short enough that they don't get dull, but long enough that you have time to fall behind or get ahead. In short, they're fine, typical races. But I have a strong feeling that if I tried to go through all of them, I would get bored way too quickly and wouldn't even make it halfway. Oh, that reminds me. Pro tip, try Viveport Infinity. It's a subscription service for VR games run by HTC. They have a lot of good stuff on there, and it's good for trying out games like Rush that you're probably not going to sink that much time into. Don't worry, this isn't a sponsorship or anything, although, guys, if you're interested, give me a call. I just think it's a really good idea, and I kind of wish Oculus would have their own version of it. Anyway, one nice little touch in Rush that's common in VR games, especially early ones, is the inclusion of little things to play with between races. There are Nerf guns, cans of soda to knock over, and beach balls to toss around, or straight at your opponent's head if you're me. There's also a basketball hoop in the menu area. As simple and pointless as this is, I honestly kind of like it. It adds a bit of charm to the situation. Plus, the Nerf darts are infinite and don't despawn, so you can just cover up another racer's entire helmet with darts if you really want to. Sometimes I had more fun with that than with the actual races, to be perfectly honest. I really wish I had more to say, especially because this is going to make for a pretty short video. But Rush is just not a very deep game. There's no unique art style, it's just realistic. There are no interesting enemies or characters, just other racers in mostly identical wingsuits. No writing or dialogue, it's just a simple game. So I'm sorry I have so little to say. But if you do want something a little more in-depth, check out the episode of TVGB Riftwatch that Jake recently published on the TVGB YouTube channel. Since his video is a Let's Play, it's obviously going to be longer. And for those who are watching this channel for the first time, despite this being the second episode and the third overall video, that's where all of this footage comes from. I'm too lazy to record gameplay footage, especially with VR. That's Jake's job. But what were we talking about again? Oh yeah, Rush. Rush is fun, I suppose. If you specifically want a wingsuit racing game for VR, then it's a perfectly serviceable answer to your very specific requirements. But if you want to feel like you're really there, well, you're probably better off looking for something else. There's enough charm in this game and fun that it's worth giving a shot at least, but I wouldn't spend a lot of money on it. Next time on Horns in a Headset, we're going to look at another game that immerses you in a real world situation, but does a lot better job of it. Keep an eye out for that one, hopefully in 2 weeks or less. And until then, the horns stay on, but the headset comes off.